is there redemption for a drug dealer that turned good? And does it matter what their intentions were from the beginning? Question one is, what are your thoughts on the criminal charge against Lil Durk? What happens with what you do on your phone that you think is a secret, and what it means for the society? That's one. Actually, it's three questions. That's question one. Question two, what do you think? Like, why is it that most celebrities in the US have some sort of skeleton in this sort of form? Yeah, most. That's question two. Question three, how do you balance someone that does a lot of good in their community, but have this other side, like a drug dealer selling drugs outside in different communities, these drugs killing people and all that stuff, but in his community using drug money to build schools and all that stuff? How do you balance the engagement with people like that?
I mean, I wasn't following the case, but I saw a lot on the Shades Room, like just posting a lot of Lil Durk, Lil Durk. I wasn't reading, I was just scrolling through. So, the first question you asked, I would say we are all locked in whether we like it or not. I don't think there is a lot that we can do about it. There is actually, if you don't want to use all these smartphones, I think it's a lot better if you want your privacy still intact to use all these older devices. I mean, I think people saw, was it Aliko Dangote or someone, like even Otedola and all these people, they still use really old phones because they still really value the secrecy.
There's actually a particular brand. I don't even think they are using old phones, but there's a particular brand. There's this particular, is this Vitruvius or something? There's a particular phone company that makes something that is very secure, the most secure phone in the world.
So that's my take on that. So the second one you asked why a lot of American celebrities are also being promoted with this sort of. I strongly believe that there's somewhere somehow um there is this sort of yeah, I don't want to get arrested for this though.
Don't worry. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I
Everything
strongly
here is just
believe
assumptions. Yeah.
that there is an agenda somehow that is feeding the push of some sort of music. Like if you look over the years, I feel like the quality of even hip hop and rap in itself has been watered down, and like over and over again, we keep seeing this sort of images being pushed on our screens. It's almost like if you are noble enough, if you are good enough, if you are rapping something really genuine and conscious, there is a cap to what you can become, right? I
You're
mean, you can
underground.
argue that exactly. You can argue that, yeah, that's because this sells more. But why does it even sell more? It's like at the end of the day, people will listen to whatever is being fed to them. We don't have a choice
The
either ways. It's
marketing
like
budget is more.
exactly. So I strongly believe something is going on there when it comes to people like that having a lot of representation on the screen because it affects something, right? It's not healthy for a certain demographic or a certain group, and
That this is their
yeah,
representation, yeah? But do you think it has
exactly.
something to do with music business? Music as a business is very expensive to invest in, and when they do those criminal activities, it already creates the scenario where they are also the one with the most money to try to divert. Because if you make money legitimately, to invest it in music, it takes a lot of thinking. To invest it in movies, in entertainment, it takes a lot of thinking. But when you make dirty money that you need to clean,
Yeah,
it probably doesn't take you too much to put in the music. And I think we had a
that would
conversation around this as well with Afrobeats and G Boys and stuff.
yeah, yeah, that would be my my answer to the third question, that like the balancing of the good and the bad and all, it's like for me it doesn't really matter because we said something similar with the Didi situation, right? And I'm trying to think like why was that different for me, because now I have an opposite response to that, because I feel like it doesn't really matter the good that you are doing now if you really came off or are still impacting people negatively. I guess with Didi, I sort of argued that okay, probably he's retired now, but then apparently not, right? Because most of these guys, I mean, he's not guilty yet. I'm thinking as if he is, but most of these guys, like you said, like start off with dirty money, with illegal businesses, trying to claim money. It's never advisable to for anyone making legit money to go and invest in entertainment, because the correlation with entertainment industry and the drug industry, for example, is the same. It's like, it's like a cartel thing. It's a power thing. I mean, growing up, I wanted to be an artist, right? But like, I still record songs, I still write songs. But then I work closely at the point to some, even in Nigeria, with some labels, with some celebrities. Yeah, what goes inside of the entertainment industry, it's not even, it's crazy. And yeah, it's just confirming what you're saying, that most of the people there are like dangerous people sometimes and all. So now coming out after you've cleaned your money and all, now saying you've done this good, and I feel like it should not be allowed. And the good should not outweigh the bad, and can never even outweigh the bad, because I feel like the bad is always stronger,
The bad
right?
will
So
always be heavier. So is
yeah.
there redemption for people? Because a lot of people feel like if I start illegally and I clean and I move completely, because there could be the argument that some of these people don't completely switch. Is there redemption for someone that started bad and then completely switches? And an example I would give is Jay-Z, yeah? Do you think that Jay-Z with his gun and selling drugs, it tells the story? Lil Wayne, do you think that now moving towards being a legitimate businessman and saying I'm a businessman and all that stuff, is he redeemed? Or
Nah, I don't think
is it
so.
different? So
Yeah,
is he a
because I
bad
mean
man?
that's a very tricky question. Yeah, I feel like the moment where from the get go, we wouldn't, to answer your question, we wouldn't be able to know for sure, like the angle that I'm taking this, right? What matters to me is that were you aware at the point that you were starting that, oh, this is what I'm getting into, this is really bad, and I don't care, but at the end, I would claim my money and all should be good. Or you are just this guy that was just in the moment, was just doing it, and what you're doing is bad, but you feel like, oh, I'm about that life legitimately, like this is me, I'm a bad guy. And somehow in the future, you woke up and you're like, damn, man, this is not really good. This is impact people. Because with all this drug money, with all these things, we are not really seeing the bottom of how these things are going. It took me one time to watch this series, one of the best by far, as far as like documenting a real life situation. Narcos, right? Like because they now took a few real footages from Pablo Escobar's. Bro, we all talk about drugs, Jay-Z, all these 50 Cent, all these guys, like, oh, they used to be a drug dealer or whatever, like, it's cool. Do you know how many cops died during the whole takedown of Pablo Escobar in like 3 4 years? Thousands. I guess like 8,000 or 7,000 cops.
Jeez, it's mental.
And they showed if some footages of how it went down with his loyal gang members versus cops. And I was like, wow, that was one side. Then the other side was the epidemic then it was causing in the part of the US that they were heavily importing the drugs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, we can't be
This
looking
guy, no
at these guys
redemption.
like Exactly.
Is that a question of, because now you say, we think the 50 Cent, the J, and then you have this big name, Pablo. Is that a question of magnitude then? Or is it really just, it doesn't matter whether it's small or big?
No, it doesn't really make any difference. What I'm trying to argue is that we don't sort of look at the bottom line to see how really to think and understand how dangerous these things are to feel like, oh, yeah, it's bad or it's not bad. But the case I'm making is it matters to me what your mindset was when you started. If you were fully aware of what you are doing and feel like, yeah, I'm just going to make it anyway and change, or you are just like all in, then at some point you feel like, oh, no, this is not good. And you're aware. And for me, those sort of people have redemption in a sense. But if you were fully aware when you started, I wouldn't think, yeah,
Okay, so the people that are like, this is the only way I have, this is my only way out, so I'm going to do what I have to do to survive. They never had the thought of leaving the game. And then over time they realized that, oh, it was my condition that warped my judgment. This is actually really bad. I need to change.
yeah,
For those people, you think, well, redemption is a thing. But to tell you something interesting, Jay actually did it as a means to an end. Like, I'm gonna sell drugs and then I'm gonna push my music.
exactly, exactly.
But
Even
for
50.
him, so they knew that it was bad, but they were like, "We will get clean."
Yeah.
Can you? But I think for them, you can still make the same argument of it was their condition, and they knew that I have to do a bad thing to get clean. So maybe you would even argue that those people might even be more careful to make sure to say, I won't kill anyone. I'm just trying to get the money off this so that I can do that good thing and pay that tuition fee so I'm done with this life. But I won't kill anyone. I won't, maybe they have more conscience even while doing it, as opposed to the guy that went all in. This is my life. I'll fuck anything up. I'm playing the game. Maybe they killed a lot more people and then caught themselves later on. Because there are a lot of pastors and stuff like that in like Nigeria as well. And they will tell you stories of how they used to be cult members.
Yeah.
And back then they didn't see anything bad in it. But it also made them much more ruthless. So
Yeah.
do they really get redemption? As opposed to the guy that knew that it was
That's a
bad
tricky
and
one.
it's so
Yeah.
complicated, right? It's so
Yeah.
complicated. I know. And I'm curious to see. I feel like it's one of those things where people have different opinions and different thoughts. And I'm curious to see in the comment section as well what our viewers are thinking about this particular question, because is there redemption for a drug dealer that turned good? And does it matter what their intentions were from the beginning?